Good morning, cadets. Yesterday we discussed about the measurement of temperature, that is thermometry, and we discussed the thermometers, liquid filled thermometers, liquid in glass thermometers, especially mercury and alcohol thermometers, Celsius and Fahrenheit scales we have discussed. These liquid in glass thermometers will show different temperatures for different liquids. They will show different values for same temperature due to their different expansion properties. The expansion property of alcohol differs from the expansion property of mercury. Therefore, liquid in glass thermometers have the disadvantage of showing different values of temperatures due to their different volume expansion properties, except fixed values. Fixed value temperatures, we know 0 degree Celsius is the ice point and 32 degree Fahrenheit is the Fahrenheit scale ice point. 100 degree Celsius is the steam point. Correspondingly, 212 degree Fahrenheit is the Fahrenheit scale fixed point. For any other temperature varying in between these, the mercury temperature thermometer and alcohol thermometer will show different values of temperatures for the same value, different values of temperatures due to their different expansion properties. So this disadvantage will be overcome if we use gas thermometer, gas filled thermometer. It is called as constant volume gas thermometer. So if we use constant volume gas thermometer, then we know that low density gases at low densities will show same expansion behaviors irrespective of the type of gases that we take. The gases at low densities show the same expansion properties at different temperatures. So that is the advantage of gas filled thermometers, or we can call them as constant volume gas thermometer. So before we learn about the constant volume gas thermometer, we must know the properties of gases, right? For low density gases, that is for gases at low densities, when the low density gases are taken, it is observed that at constant temperature, when temperature is kept constant, the pressure of the gas is found to be inversely proportional to volume of the gas. In thermodynamics, we learn that pressure, volume and temperature, pressure, volume and temperature are called thermodynamic variables. Thermodynamic variables for any gas. So for gases at low densities, it is found that at temperature being kept constant, when T is kept constant, pressure is found to be inversely proportional to volume. P is inversely proportional to volume, such that the product Pv becomes equal to constant. So this relation was first formulated by Robert Boyle. Therefore, it is called as Boyle's law. It was formulated in the 17th century. So it is called Boyle's law. Robert Boyle has formulated this. So in his honor, it is named as Boyle's law. The product PV is equal to constant. In the same way, if pressure is kept constant, when pressure P is constant, under constant pressure, it is interesting to note that the volume is found to be directly proportional to temperature. Volume is found to be directly proportional to temperature, symbolically, so that the ratio V by T remains constant. This is when P is constant. This is when temperature is constant. With these conditions, we get these two laws. This ratio of volume by temperature being constant is actually formulated by another scientist called as Charles, French scientist Charles. So in his honor, it is called as Charles law. This was formulated in the 18th century. So this is called a Charles law. In chemistry also you are learning in detail. So PV is equal to constant and V by T is equal to constant. These are called as gas laws. These are called as gas laws. So when you club together, we get ideal gas law. Combining these two gas laws, we get what is known as ideal gas law. Just look at it. Combining P equal to constant and V by T equal to constant, we can write combination of these gas laws results what is known as PV by T equal to constant. PV by T equal to constant. This is what is known as ideal gas law. And then further it was found to be this constant value was followed. PV by T was found to be equal to mu R, where R is called universal gas constant. Where R is called universal gas constant, and its value was calculated. It is 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin. Joule per mole per Kelvin, where you know Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature. Okay, we are going to discuss about that. That is next one, absolute temperature. Temperature measured in Kelvin is called absolute temperature. So SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. And what is mu? Mu is number of moles of gas. Number of moles of gas taken at low densities, right? So this is known as ideal gas law and ideal gas equation. So ideal gas equation can be now written as, using this I can write PV equal to mu RT. This is called ideal gas equation. From this ideal gas equation we can obtain what is Boyle's law and what is Charles law. For example, if temperature is kept constant, the entire right hand side mu R T becomes constant. Then PV equal to constant. That is nothing but Boyle's law. PV equal to constant is nothing but Boyle's law. Now, in the second case, if pressure is kept constant, keeping P constant, we get V directly proportional to T. In that case, V by T remains constant. That is nothing but Charles law. So, ideal gas equation is combination of gas laws. This equation is very important, which holds good for any ideal gas. Not only holds good for ideal gas, it is also valid for all the gases at low densities. When the gases are at low density gases are taken, then ideal gas equation is valid for all low density gases. Valid for, that is the advantage of this equation. All low density gases, or you can say it is valid for gases at low densities. So this is very important for us to understand what is constant volume gas thermometer. Constant volume gas thermometer means, in this equation, if look at this, fixed volume of gas is taken, fixed mass of gas is taken in a container, right? If V is kept constant, and as the gas is given heat, then what happens? Temperature rises. As temperature rises, you see, mu is constant, R is constant, V is also constant. As temperature rises, pressure also rises. As temperature decreases, pressure also decreases. This is the important fact. This is the important basis based on which constant volume gas thermometer is constructed. Okay. Before we learn constant volume gas thermometer, let us draw the graph of the pressure versus time. Pressure versus time by taking volume kept constant. Now look here, for a given mass of a gas, suppose for a fixed mass of a gas taken in a container, when the volume of that gas is fixed, if the volume of the gas is constant, then if V is constant, mu, number of moles of that particular gas taken is constant, R is universal gas constant, which is always constant, then we find that pressure is directly proportional to temperature. Pressure T is found to be directly proportional to temperature T. This is from ideal gas equation. Ideal gas equation. So this is the basis, that pressure is directly proportional to T is the principle or the basis of constant volume gas thermometer. It means as temperature rises, pressure rises. So we measure the pressure for various temperatures. We measure the corresponding values of pressure. So once we measure the pressure, then we will be able to calculate the temperature using this ideal gas equation. Because we know mu, given mass of gas, and we know gas constant. So we know volume of the fixed amount of gas that is taken. Volume is kept constant. V, mu, R are known values. So as pressure increases, temperature increases. So if we measure pressure, we will be able to measure the temperature. This becomes the basis of construction of constant volume gas thermometer. So if we draw the graph of pressure versus temperature, we will be getting pressure versus temperature graph, a linear graph. So if I draw the graph appears like this. This is temperature in degrees Celsius. This is pressure of the gas. So this is taken at 0 degrees Celsius. This is 0 degrees Celsius. Now, when the temperature increases, the pressure also increases linearly. So, if you draw the graph is going to be a straight line graph. So, pressure versus temperature graph is a straight line graph. P versus T graph, P versus T graph is a straight line, linear graph, straight line graph. Now, if you decrease the temperature, what this is for increasing temperature. Say the temperature is increased from 100, 200, 300 degrees Celsius and so on. In the same way, if we decrease the temperature, what happens? 100 degrees Celsius, 200 degrees Celsius, 300 degrees Celsius. This is taken in degrees Celsius. If we extrapolate this, means as you go on decreasing the temperature, at one particular value of low temperature, see the pressure of the gas reduces to 0. So this is found to be minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. So at minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, we get the pressure of the gas being reduced to 0. So that temperature at which the pressure of the gas is reduced to 0 is called as absolute zero. This temperature is called as zero, absolute zero. And this absolute zero is the foundation for another scale. It is called as Kelvin scale. So in the Kelvin scale of a thermometer, absolute is the lowest temperature. Absolute zero is the lowest temperature. It is taken as 0 Kelvin. So this is taken as 0 Kelvin, where K stands for Kelvin, the name of the scientist, Lord Kelvin, English scientist. So who has designed this temperature scale? It is after his name. It is called as Kelvin scale. So absolute zero is 0 Kelvin. Absolute zero is that temperature which is equal to minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, you see all the gases are such that the pressure of all the gases reduces to 0. This is for one particular gas. If you take different types of gases at low densities, different types of gases will show different linear graph, but all of them, this is for gas A, suppose this is for gas B, and this is for another gas C. So although they differ different values of pressure at different temperatures, but when you extrapolate them backwards, when you decrease the temperature, all the gases are showing same behavior, and at minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, all the pressure of all the gases is reduced to 0. This is the behavior of the gases, where I have taken A, B, C are the gases. Samples A, B and C are low density gases. So this graph P versus T graph is very, very important. Here we use two notation. One small t is for temperature in degrees Celsius, and capital T is temperature in Kelvin. This is called absolute temperature. So temperature capital T can be now written as T degrees Celsius plus 273.15. T degrees Celsius plus 273.15. So if you add this, then you will get temperature in Kelvin. For example, 0 degrees Celsius is the ice point or melting point of ice. In Fahrenheit scale, it is 32 degree Fahrenheit. In Kelvin scale, it becomes 0 plus 273.15. That is, in Kelvin scale, this corresponds to 273.15 Kelvin. That is the temperature of ice point in Kelvin. So we are now understanding another scale of thermometer, that is called Kelvin scale thermometer. Okay. Now we'll understand what is that constant volume gas thermometer, how it appears. Symbolic diagram I am going to draw. Schematic diagram. Schematic diagram of constant volume gas. Look at the schematic diagram of constant volume gas thermometer. It is also nothing but open tube manometer. It has two limbs which are in the shape of U. U-tube manometer. It is also in the shape of U. So it is also U-tube manometer. Manometer is the device which is used to measure pressure. Okay. Here, the gas of fixed volume, a given mass of gas of fixed volume is taken in this container. In this container. So this will exert some pressure on this. As a result, there will be initial level of the mercury. This is the mercury liquid. When the temperature of the gas increases, the temperature, the system whose temperature is to be measured is brought in contact with this, or this particular limb is brought in contact with system whose temperature is to be measured. So, according to that temperature, what happens? As temperature rises, the gas starts expanding. Expansion of the gas takes place. When the gas expands, then this exerts pressure on the mercury. When it exerts pressure on the mercury, then what happens? The mercury level rises. Mercury level rises from A to B as pressure differs. As pressure increases, the mercury level differs. It goes down here due to increased pressure. As pressure increases, the mercury level rises from B to C. Earlier A and B were at the same level. Now it is rising from B to C. How much is the rise in the level of mercury? Accordingly, we will be able to calculate the pressure. So pressure is calculated as gauge pressure. P minus PA is called as gauge pressure. H rho G. This is what we have learned earlier. This is what we called as gauge pressure. As temperature increases for a given volume of gas, the pressure increases. By the knowledge of this pressure P, by noting down the H value, we will be able to calculate the pressure equal to H rho G, where rho is the density of this mercury. It is a mercury of having density rho 13.6 gram per centimeter cube. With the value of this, we will be able to calculate pressure. Once we know the pressure, then using PV equal to mu RT, we will be able to calculate T. That is P equal to PV upon mu R. So this is how we calculate temperature with the knowledge of P. So temperature, that is absolute temperature, T, absolute temperature T is calculated by noting down the pressure value. So it is also called as open tube manometer. One side it is closed here, another side it is open to atmosphere. So other side it is PA. So P minus PA gives us the gauge pressure. It gives us gauge pressure. So that using that gauge pressure, we will be able to calculate the temperature T equal to PV upon mu. This is how we calculate temperature using open tube manometer, which is also called as constant volume gas thermometer. Now, with the help of this, we will be able to draw the three scales: absolute scale, that is Kelvin scale; degree Celsius scale, that is Celsius scale; and Fahrenheit scale. So, if you draw the graph, then we can have a comparison. See, let us say that this is Kelvin scale. Here it is Celsius scale, and here Fahrenheit scale. We will discuss about the fixed value. Fixed value for which the pressure of the low density gases reduces to 0 is called 0 Kelvin. We will take this one as 0 Kelvin. 0 Kelvin corresponds to minus 273.15 degrees Celsius for Celsius scale, and here it comes out to be minus 459. Minus, same thing, it comes out to be minus 459 degree Fahrenheit on the Fahrenheit scale. This is called absolute zero. Absolute. So, absolute zero is the lowest fixed point of Kelvin scale. Now, if you look at the ice point, ice point corresponds to 273.15 Kelvin in Kelvin scale, and here same value corresponds to 0 degree Celsius ice point. The same value corresponds to 32 degree Fahrenheit in case of Fahrenheit scale. Then another fixed point is steam point. Steam point corresponds to 100 degrees Celsius. Here it corresponds to 100 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit scale corresponds to 200 degree Fahrenheit, and here in the Kelvin scale it corresponds to 273 plus 100, that is 373.15 Kelvin. This is steam point. Steam point, or we can also call it as boiling point of water. Boiling point of water. And ice point is another fixed value, which is also called as freezing point of water, or melting point of ice. It's also melting point of ice. Freezing point of water is also called ice point. It is also called as melting point of ice. So look at this. Yesterday we have learned about this. 0 degree Celsius, 32 degree Fahrenheit is the lowest fixed point, which is ice point. And upper fixed point is 100 degree Celsius, boiling point of water, and 212 degree Fahrenheit, boiling point of water in Fahrenheit scale. Same thing in Kelvin scale, it comes out to be 373.15. So from this comparison, we can write the temperature in Kelvin is always written in capital T. It is always written as capital T. Remember, temperature in Kelvin is equal to temperature in degree Celsius plus 273.15. See, this is the relation between degree Celsius and Kelvin scale. Okay. Now we are learning another very important effect of heat. It is another thermal effect. one of the thermal effects we have learned, that is whenever we heat an object, then the temperature of the object rises. That's what we have seen, rising temperature. Second one is expansion, thermal expansion. This is the effect of heat. For example, you must have an experience, you must have had an experience with the bottle lid. Some bottles will be screwed so tightly that it becomes very difficult to open the lid. It becomes very difficult to unscrew the lid. In that case, we keep that bottle in hot water. If we keep that bottle in warm water for 3-4 minutes and take out, then we can very easily unscrew the lid. Similarly, if you take a balloon, filled balloon, gas filled balloon, fully blown balloon, inflated balloon, if you take the inflated balloon and keep it in the cool water, you will find the contraction of the volume of the balloon. You will find the volume of the balloon getting contracted. On the other hand, if less inflated balloon, less filled balloon which is closed, less filled balloon which is closed, if it is kept in warm water, you will find expansion of the balloon. It's quite common experience in hot summer days, the bursting of the tires. If you are cycle tube and cycle tire and tube, if it is fully inflated with air, if you ride the bicycle in the hot summer days for about an hour or 2 hours, there is a chance of bursting of the tires. That is due to expansion of gas. So usually it is advised to fill up the air to less extent in the summer season. So we are learning very important property, that is expansion of the objects due to heat. You must have seen the blacksmiths working. You see, before they fit the iron ring into the cart wheel, they heat this iron ring very strongly, red hot, and after that they keep the wooden wheel inside the ring. After keeping the wooden ring, they pour the water on that. When they pour the water on that red hot iron ring, then you will find the red hot iron ring suddenly contracting and having a proper grip on the wooden wheel. So these are the common experiences. That is, on heating, the metals, usually the metals expand. On cooling, the metals contract. In the same way, liquids also. Mercury thermometer, when it is kept in contact with warm water, you will find the rise in the level of mercury. Rise in the level of mercury is nothing but volume expansion of mercury. When you take it out from the warm water, you will find sudden fall in the level of mercury. That is, liquid metal, that is mercury, start contracting on cooling. If you keep it in ice cold water, the mercury level goes down to 0 degrees Celsius. So on heating, solids, liquids or even gases, on heating they expand, on cooling they contract. So this property is called as thermal expansion. That is, increase in the dimensions. Dimensions means length, breadth, height, area and volume. Increase in the dimensions as a result of supplying heat, as a result of heat. Or increase in the dimension as a result of increase in temperature. As a result of supplying heat can be written in short as increase in dimensions as a result of increase in temperature. is called thermal expansion. In the same way, decrease in dimensions as temperature is decreased is called thermal contraction. In general, we call it as thermal expansion. Then there are three types of expansion. If the length of a wire increases, then it is called linear expansion. Linear expansion. If it is, for example, suppose L is the length of a particular wire. After heating it, suppose the length is increased to delta L. So total length becomes L plus delta L due to rise in temperature from T to T plus dt. Then such an expansion is called as linear expansion. Then another expansion is area expansion. If we take a plate, suppose we take a plate, circular plate or rectangular plate. Initially it has area A. Due to heat, suppose the area is increased by A plus delta A. A plus delta A. Then it is called superficial expansion or area expansion. It is also called as superficial expansion. Then if you take the bulk material like a cube or a cuboid or a sphere, then entire volume expansion takes place. Volume expansion. Wherein, if you consider a cube, length, breadth, height, entire thing expands. Height increases, breadth increases, as a result area increases. So in general the whole volume increases. So this is called volume expansion. As we heat, the length of a metal wire increases. This is called expansion along the length, linear expansion. As we heat a plate, circular plate or a circular disc, metallic disc, then there is an increase in area, which is called as superficial expansion. If we take bulk material like a cube or cuboid or a sphere, if you take a sphere for example, entire volume of the sphere increases due to increase in its radius and increase in its diameter. So it is called as volume expansion. Then this increase in, let us learn first linear expansion. Increase in length per unit length is found to be directly proportional to change in temperature. Increase in length per unit length. Increase in length is delta L. Per unit length is original length L. This is called as fractional change in length. Increase in length per unit length is found to be directly proportional to change in temperature. Change in temperature is written as delta T. So I can write it as increase in length per unit length is found to be directly proportional to increase in temperature, change in temperature, or in particular we can write increase in temperature. Right? Now when you take out this proportionality sign, we write one constant delta L by L. Fractional change is found to be directly proportional to alpha L. Alpha L, this is a constant. Alpha L into delta T. This is a constant of proportionality called as coefficient of linear expansion. Coefficient of linear expansion. coefficient of linear expansion. So that now can they define what is coefficient of linear expansion? Alpha L is equal to delta L by L whole divided by delta T. So we can define what is coefficient of linear expansion as fractional change in length, fractional change in length per unit rising temperature. Fractional change in length, that is change in length per unit rising temperature, is called as coefficient of linear expansion. Coefficient of linear expansion. In the same way, we can define coefficient of superficial expansion. It is denoted by alpha A. Coefficient of superficial expansion can be written as change in area per unit rising temperature. Same way, change in area per unit rising temperature. It is called as coefficient of area expansion or superficial expansion. Area expansion or superficial expansion. So this can be written as change in area per unit area, which is also called as fractional change in area per unit rising temperature or per unit falling temperature or per unit change in temperature. Fractional change in area per unit change in temperature is called as coefficient of area expansion. In this case, since the entire volume is changing, the V is becoming delta V plus delta V as T changes to T plus delta T, that is when we increase the temperature from T to delta T, V changes to V plus delta V. So from this, it is experimentally observed that change in volume per unit volume is found to be directly proportional to change in temperature. Larger the change in temperature, greater is the change in volume per unit volume. Larger the change in temperature, greater is the fractional change in volume. So, if you take out this proportionality sign, then change in volume per unit volume becomes equal to what is known as coefficient of cubical expansion or coefficient of volume expansion, alpha V into delta T. This allows us to write what is the definition of alpha V. Alpha V is equal to change in volume per unit rising temperature. So this is how we define coefficient of cubical expansion, that is change in volume per unit volume per change per unit change in temperature. This is called as coefficient of volume expansion. Coefficient of volume expansion. So we will study in the next video what is the relation between alpha B, alpha A and alpha L, and what are the advantages of learning these coefficients. So that explains the thermal expansion behavior of the solids, liquids as well as gases. Thank you. Have a nice day.